session is called Income, Spending, and Savings, Achieving Financial Stability. We hope today's conversation will be thought-provoking, educational, and will leave you with some practical strategies to create a budget, increase income, and build savings. NCADV is honored to partner with the National Endowment for Financial Education, NEFE, to provide this fourth installment in a series of 6 free webinars intended to raise awareness, increase skills and knowledge related to personal finance, and to guide attendees toward helpful resources. Before we start, I invite you to please take a moment to locate the questions box on your control panel. See the screenshot for more information on how to locate it. Due to the number of people on the webinar, it is possible that we will not get to all questions, but we will be sure to cover as many as we can throughout. That said, this webinar is full of opportunities to engage, answer questions, and reflect on today's topic. We encourage you to actively participate throughout the webinar. In order to respond to any of the interactive activities, type your responses into the questions box. Also, a quick reminder that a copy of the PowerPoint, a certificate of participation, as well as other important handouts on today's topic can be found in your control panel under handouts. So I know I've gotten a couple questions about handouts already. Go ahead and find that handouts drop down on your control panel. All right. A quick reminder that this webinar is being recorded. We will send it out to you along with all handouts in a follow-up email that will come out 24 hours after this session ends. Also, at the end of the session, we will have a quick 5-question survey for you to fill out. So I'm getting a couple more questions on the handouts. Just take this moment to explore your control panel just before we begin. Because the webinar is so interactive, we do want to make sure that everyone knows how to use the tools. So on almost all computers, your control panel is going to show up on your right, and it's sort of it's a smaller screen, and it's got a bunch of different drop downs. So take a moment to locate those and find those before we begin the webinar. At this time, I'd like to introduce today's webinar speakers. My name is Sheba McCants, and I'm the Outreach Director for NCADV. And today I am joined by Jeanette Schultz, Director of Financial Workshop Initiatives for NEFE. I think people are getting good with the handouts. I'm getting a lot of questions and comments on those, but we're going to move on. So before we begin today's webinar, we have a series of polls that we'd like for you all to participate in. And this really helps us in terms of getting to know our webinar audience. So without further ado, let's go ahead and launch our first poll. Who is participating today? And for this one, you can select multiple answers. So go ahead and take a moment and participate in the poll. Are you a domestic violence or a sexual assault advocate, a victim or survivor, part of the law enforcement or legal community, a case manager or counselor, and any others? You can go ahead and indicate those in the questions box. Thank you all for starting that. I appreciate it. We've got some folks here representing a financial institution. Welcome. Military, domestic violence, VA. Excellent. Thank you for being here. A program director. Let's go ahead and close up that poll. Excellent. 78% of our webinar audience today are domestic violence or sexual assault advocates. 30% have indicated that they have a role in case management or counseling. 16% identify as victims or survivors. And then 2% from our law enforcement and legal community. Let's go to the next poll. Where are you located? Go ahead and select the region that you're representing today. West Coast, Alaska, Hawaii, East Coast, Midwest, Southern states and Puerto Rico, or the mountain region. Go ahead and take a moment and indicate where you are tuning in to today's webinar from. Which region are you from? Let's get a couple more votes in. Okay, that looks great. Let's go ahead and close that out. All right, fantastic. 40% of the webinar audience is tuning in from the East Coast. 25% from the Midwest. That's a pretty big chunk today. Welcome from the Midwest. 15% from the West Coast, Alaska or Hawaii. 11% from our southern states and Puerto Rico, and 9% tuning in from the mountain region. Welcome, everybody, to the webinar. Let's go to our next poll. What is your racial or ethnic identity? For this question, you are able to select one or more, so go ahead and select multiple options and indicate to us what is your racial or ethnic identity. Thank you all so much for taking the time and participating in our polls. Asian or Pacific Islander, American Indian or Alaskan Native, Black, African, African American or Caribbean, Hispanic or Latinx, white or Caucasian. Go ahead and take a moment and participate. Great participation. We can close that out. Looks great. All right, so 66% of our webinar audience has indicated that they are either white or Caucasian. 23% are Hispanic or Latinx. We have 13% Black, African, African American or Caribbean, 4% Asian or Pacific Islander, and 3% American Indian or Alaskan Native. Great, thank you. Let's go to our next poll. We've got a total of 5 polls, so this is our 4th. How would you define your community type? Are you tuning in from an urban community, a suburban community, or a rural community? This is always an interesting question for us, and kind of changes every time, but tends to be a little bit more, yes, just like this poll indicates. Let's go ahead and close it. A little bit more rural. So 46% of you are tuning in from a rural community, 21% from a suburban community, and 32% from an urban community. Let's go ahead on to our last and our final poll for this afternoon. Is this information for you or those you serve? And for this one, we do have 3 choices. So for me, I want to learn more about income and savings. For those I serve, I have clients who need this information, or both. Excellent participation. We can close that out. It looks like 66% of our webinar audience has indicated that they're really here for both. They want to learn more about income and savings, but they also have clients who need this information. And really, that's the ideal. I love to hear that. I think we oftentimes, when it comes to our finances, sometimes we don't prioritize our own. We want to, help our clients and serve the community, but we also need to be in a good place financially in order to be sustainable. So, great. Let's go ahead and move on.
Let's take a moment to go through the agenda for today's webinar on income, spending, and savings, achieving financial stability. We know that your time is incredibly valuable, and we want to be sure you are getting what you came for. And to that point, we want to be very clear about what you can expect to learn during today's session. We have 3 specific outcomes that we will go over during today's webinar session. Each section will have opportunities for you to learn, reflect, and interact. The 3 agenda items for today's webinar are the following. First, what are the critical elements of an earning plan? 2, what are your current spending and savings habits, challenges, and opportunities? And 3, what are my financial stability goals and how do I achieve them?
All right, so as we get into today's webinar, I'd like to point out the 3 key areas that we'll be focusing on today. So for the first area, this is all about your earning plan. So thinking about the 2 questions, does your current income meet your financial needs? And do your income and benefits meet your future financial needs? We're also going to cover from a high level your spending and saving plan. You can ask yourself, do you know where your money is going? We'll be able to distinguish between regular payments, needs, and wants. We'll also cover mindful spending, and we'll certainly cover savings basics on this webinar. And then the final of the 3 key areas is about your financial stability goals. We will think about goal setting and provide a lot of resources for making your goals sustainable. And we'll also bring up the topic of financial coaching because that ultimately could be a really helpful option for many of you listening on today. All right, so this is, I do want to mention that the webinar is going to be really interactive. So this is our first opportunity. We're going to take a moment to reflect. Which of the 3 key areas do you want to learn more about or do you think about most often? So go ahead and type into your questions box which of the 3 key areas you either want to learn more about or what you think about most often. I'd like to see where we're at as a group, and thank you all already. I see your participation coming in. Fantastic. Let's get some more responses. The choices are income and earnings, spending and saving, or goals and financial stability. All right, so as I'm scrolling in and seeing all of your answers, I am overwhelmingly seeing spending and savings as being a really popular response, but a lot of people are here thinking about their goals and financial stability. Fantastic. This is all very good participation. I really appreciate that already. And, you know, we'd like to see that continue, so stay active and always be ready to share your opinions when we're asking for them. Great.
What are the critical elements of an earning plan? This is the first item on the agenda for us to cover during today's session. Let's face it, we spend a lot of time of our lives at work. It is a fact that we will likely work longer than our parents. Americans are working longer due to healthier lifestyles, increased life expectancy, fluctuations in income, investments, or retirement plans, and sometimes simply because they can't afford to retire. Each of us will spend decades engaged in our careers, so doing something you love that provides you financial security makes practical sense. In this section of the webinar, we will talk about the elements needed to develop an earning plan that supports your financial goals. This type of plan you can revisit over the course of your career to make adjustments as necessary. Let's take this first opportunity of today's session to reflect on your current income and earnings. Take a moment to type out some thoughts on your current job, or one that you want in the future. What does it provide you? When it comes to your current career, what satisfies you the most and least about it? So if you could just write some of your responses. Think about your current work situation. What does it provide you, your family, and your future? Think about your work environment. Are you confident about it? Does it satisfy you? So some says flexibility, others say self-satisfaction. Thank you. My work provides me with entry-level experience. Wonderful. Freedom, stability, and opportunities and growth. That's great. Others says I love my job. Others says income is fair, balance for work and family. I love the people I work with and the people I help. I also have great flexibility. Wonderful. Prioritize self-care, flexibility, very satisfying. I don't mean to be dense, but I see someone's asking where to set up the question. You are at the right precise location. Flexibility and a great staff. It's hard to find.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for those responses. So now that we've taken a moment to reflect on our current career, let's dive in a little bit deeper. There are many factors that contribute to achieving your financial aspirations, but income and workplace benefits will likely be your primary source. Analyzing how your career and financial goals intersect can clarify changes necessary to achieve financial self-sufficiency. So before we further discuss financial goals, let's define self-sufficiency. It is the ability to provide for our own needs without external assistance. We may all agree, or I agree, that not only does it feel good to support yourself with your own skills and efforts, but it increases confidence and reduces stress. If you're not dependent on anyone else, then you are free from fear that the resources you need to survive will be taken away from you. Self-sufficiency is at the heart of the concept of financial well-being. What you need financially depends on how you define your own financial well-being. There is no good or bad level of financial well-being. It depends on how you define it for yourself. So to review, for some of you that may have joined in on our third webinar about financial well-being, according to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, they define financial well-being as a state of being wherein you have control over your day-to-day and month-to-month finances, where you have the capacity to absorb a financial shock, which could be any of the following unforeseen circumstances or lost income, like a job loss, an illness, an injury, home or vehicle repair. Financial well-being also has to do with whether or not you're on track to meet your financial goals. And lastly, that you have the freedom to make the choices that allow you to enjoy your life. So in terms of an earning plan, there are some questions that I would recommend that you ask yourself. Does your income meet your current financial needs? Is your income putting you on track to meet your financial goals? And lastly, what do you need in the near term and long term in order to realize self-sufficiency? So let's take some time to answer the first question. Does your income meet your financial needs? So let's take a moment and think about your current career or the one that you would like to have, focusing especially on the goal of self-sufficiency. We found something interesting when we were looking into this topic of self-sufficiency, which has to do with the living wage, which is also known as a self-sufficient wage, which is the amount that you must earn in order to meet your basic financial needs. So this amount, it varies based on your household and lifestyle, where you live, and your current outstanding debts. But we found a really awesome calculator, and this was a tool that was developed by MIT, by researchers at MIT. And this, we do have the website, which can be found at livingwage.mit.edu, and we will provide that website not only in the follow-up email, but also on a upcoming slide. So we just wanted to recommend that everyone get to know what is your self-sufficient wage, or what is your living wage in your state based on your situation.
The career you choose will greatly affect your ability to reach your financial goals. And it's no secret, the higher you start on the earning scale, the more you will make over the course of your career. The more information you have when negotiating your salary, the better. Know how much you need to meet your financial obligations, how much others in similar positions make, and what you need to offset taxes and other liabilities. Good negotiators can assert themselves based on their needs and knowledge to get a higher salary, greater benefits, and other perks. Here are some tips based on information from the site Career One Stop to become a better negotiator. 1. Make a list of pros and cons the job offers you. This gives you a base for your negotiation. 2. Assume the offer is a starting point, not a final. 3. Be reasonable in your request. 4. Use your expertise, training, and education to negotiate. 5. If the pay is too low, be willing to say so and back it up with data or value you bring to the position. And last, stay calm and do not become emotional. Don't forget the perks. In addition to your salary, look at the whole compensation package. Don't forget to ask about these perks as well. Tuition reimbursements, student loan repayment options, recruitment incentives for specialized skills, relocation allowances, compensated time or flexible scheduling. For me here at NEFE, I get to do some flexible scheduling. So the regular 8 to 5, I get to start 7 to 3:30. And they also paid for my education to pursue a master's degree 10 years ago. So I was able to complete that with the help of NEFE. So Another perk that I do get is they pay for my light rail pass, which is a $1,200 package every year if I was to pay that out of my own pocket. So it's a nice perk to have. So just look at those different perks that companies are giving to their employees. It really helps your lifestyle and way of living. Let's take this time to reflect on your current income and earnings. Take a moment to type out some words or phrases that help you or hold you back from earning a sufficient income. Make sure you include at least one thing holding you back. Later, you can address these items in your career goals and earning plan. While you are reflecting, let's take a moment to address your self-talk. The way you talk to yourselves can affect your confidence when seeking career advancement or a new career trajectory. Using positive inner language can help with your self-talk. You might not totally eliminate it, but there are ways to tone down negative self-talk. Here are 3 tips to improve your self-talk. If a friend were expressing these thoughts, what advice would you give them? Sometimes it helps to write your self-talk or speak it aloud so that you can observe your thoughts more objectively. Combat negative thoughts with positive responses. For example, each time you notice yourself having a certain thought, such as I'll never finish my training for this job, you might think or rethink it. I'll take things one step at a time and reevaluate my training in 6 months. The way your friends and family speak to you also can influence your career. Consider pressures family puts on you to have a certain career or maintain a certain lifestyle. Do the words or action of those close to you help you? What, if anything, can you do to get your family to support your career choices? So some of the answers I get, having to spend so much time as a mother with 2 children who are still not able to be left on their own, it requires constant support and time, even as high school students. I get it. It is hard. Continue to work on my education. Perfect. That's great. Need schedule flexibility in order to care for elderly family members. Yes, we are in a sandwich generation where we have to think not only of our kids, our children, but also of our grandparents or our parents. Great answers. So the worksheet that I like to share with you is the barriers to your ideal career and my career goals. So barriers to your career, it could be health issues, it could be dependent care, credit history, addictions, it could be work references, irregular work history. On the SMART goals, on the My Career Goals worksheet, has a checklist for you to think about. Are you doing it? Is this something you can do in the next 3 months? Or is it something that you will look towards 6 to a year from now? Rating them helps you put it on paper and be a little bit more precise in your planning. If not having enough money was one of the barriers that you identified to earning a sufficient income, you may ask yourself, how can you increase income? How you make more money is up to your unique situation. Here are some suggestions that could apply to you. Could you get a second job? Take up a side project or a freelance gig? Could you make more money in your current job by gaining new skills? Or could you get a better paying job by going back to school? So some of the examples that I have in my life, my daughter is a nurse, but she also teaches once a month at a local university, and she writes for journals. So those are her little side gigs that she does. Her husband, who's a middle school teacher on the summer, he is a pyrotechnic director. So he plans all the fireworks shows in the summertime. And he also does a lot of event planning. So we also see him at football games, baseball games, doing just concession stands. So those side gigs that they both have puts together a plan for them to plan for a vacation, a weekend getaway. It's just extra money that comes in, or even their retirement.
All right, great. Let's take a moment to reflect on this question. Does your current income level meet your financial goals? So go ahead and type into your questions box right now. Does your current income level meet your financial goals? The choices would be strongly agree, somewhat agree, neither agree nor disagree, somewhat disagree, or strongly disagree. Take a moment and reflect on that question. I'll just read some out right away. We've got a pretty good split between somewhat agree and strongly disagree. Pretty balanced audience. And what that says to me is that we're all working on this. We're all working towards, making sure that our current income level meets our financial goals. This is something that's really important. We have to make sure that whatever it is that we're doing to generate income, that it's helping us meet our financial goals. Somewhat agree, somewhat disagree, strongly disagree. So it seems like we're all sort of on that spectrum, which is, to be expected. So that looks good. All right, we can move on.
Now that we've discussed income and earnings, let's transition to the next item on today's agenda. What are your current spending and savings habits, challenges, and opportunities? Outside of winning the lottery, which, by the way, the chances of which the official Powerball website puts it at about 1 in 175 million, the best way to ensure future financial stability is to start saving ASAP. If you really want your money to grow, you need to think seriously about where you put it. There are many options for where and how to save money for the future, including a basic savings account, which is relatively low risk, but it offers only small returns on your investments. It could be a certificate of deposit, a CD, and money market accounts. They're higher risk, but basic savings. They still won't deliver the big payouts of a long-term investment in the stock market, and these investments are best for more immediate savings that you plan to use 3 to 5 years in the future. When investing money for long-term goals, for example, if you want to be financially independent by the time you retire, stock, bonds, and mutual funds offer the potential to earn your money higher rates of return. So, we included the SMART Goals worksheet in your webinar of 4 handouts, and they include the definition of specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So it's a worksheet for you to write some examples that are relevant for you in your life. Taking control of your financial life requires planning, and that starts with setting goals. Take a moment to type out some ideas or things you would like to achieve or improve about your financial life. Challenge yourself to begin to think in terms of SMART goals. For example, if your goal is to build an emergency savings, a SMART goal would be to save $200 per month for the next 12 months. Type these ideas in the question box. The goals you set should be specific and have a time frame attached to them. For example, your goal might be to save $20 per week during the next year for a vacation. This is a SMART goal that's specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. What are some examples that you might have? Go ahead and write it in the question box. So, buying a home in the next year, retirement savings, $50 a month for the next year, save for a new car, new to me, but I'm saving $200 a month. Great. These are all great ideas. Pay off at least one credit card within the next year. Buying a house. It's a SMART goal. Save $10,000 over the next 3 years for a down payment on that house. Another example, save for retirement. A SMART goal would be invest at least $5,000 per year in my retirement funds over the next 5 years. Some other are new carpet, update my older home. Yes, renovations. putting more money on the debt versus building a savings account. Yes, get rid of all that debt. 0 debt by the end of 2019. Wonderful goal. Invest more into my 401k. These are all great suggestions. Thank you.
Wow, really great goals. So now that you have some ideas for the goals that you'd like to work toward, let's talk about where you'll find the money to achieve those goals. The first step is really to get a clear picture of your current finances, how much money you have coming in, and how much money you're spending each month. Tracking your spending as you go can be difficult. You might forget to record some purchases, or you might be tempted to change your habits when you know you're keeping track. Past spending can be more accurate because you can't go back and change what you've already done. One way to do this would be to use your most recent monthly bank or credit card statements, or if the past month was unusual for any reason, you can use a statement that best reflects your regular monthly finances. We have included a worksheet for you called the Spending Detective Worksheet, and that is available in your webinar 4 handouts. And just in case you're still not sure where those are to be found, they're in your control panel under handouts. They will also be provided to you via the follow-up email if you don't want to work on those now. But that worksheet can be helpful for you in terms of really getting to know where your money is going. For me, this was actually a really critical part just for me in terms of my own personal finance journey, was really taking a look at how much, for example, I'm spending on groceries every week. You know, that was easy for me in terms of that would get away from me. I would spend probably a lot more than I needed to at the grocery store because I wasn't tracking my spending. So definitely take some time and look through that worksheet when you have some time to really sit down and spend with your finances. This way, when you are aware and when you're paying attention in terms of what you buy each month, you can quickly identify any leftover money. So with a spending plan, you do not have to focus on your day-to-day or month-to-month finances as much because those don't change much. What you can do is focus on allocating any leftover income that you have and putting it towards the things that you value most, like all the wonderful things you put in your goals that you typed into us. You can, if you have leftover money, that's the money that goes towards reaching those goals. So whether that's saving to pay off debt or paying off debt, saving for a house or a car, or things like that. So we definitely recommend having a spending plan in terms of knowing where your regular expenses are, knowing your needs from your wants, and really understanding where your money is going. So we've also included another worksheet, which is called the Mindful Spending Worksheet, and that is available also in your webinar 4 handouts. And this one really asks you to think about those wants. So when you have something that you want, whether this could be something that's a little more expensive or maybe something you would consider a luxury. It could be something you're planning to buy or something you really want to buy, but you can't quite afford it yet. So this would be like something that you want in the future. As you're considering that thing, you may really ask yourself, what's my reasoning for buying this particular thing? What's my purpose behind making this particular purchase? And what do I hope to get from buying it? How do I think this purchase might make up for something in my life that is lacking? So these are some of the things that we would like, to advocate that you all are thinking about in terms of when you're making these bigger purchases. Are you thinking it through? Are you taking a moment to think about how it connects and aligns with some of your values as well as some of the financial goals that you have?
Are you surprised to find out just how much you spend on things you don't really need? Well, you're not alone. You do need to give up all the spending on wants, but when you're looking for money to further your financial goals, mindless spending is a way that many of us are leaking money without paying attention. How do you compare? When asked what household expenses they would be willing to give up, according to the National Retail Federation, 8 in 10 Americans rank internet service as a non-negotiable must-have that they would not be willing to go without. I get it. One of my awful spending habits is that drinking Starbucks every day. So my husband tried to strategize and has instituted a card, a Starbucks card, where he only puts $20 a month. So if I go over $20, I'm done for the month. So there's not this mindless spending, oh, I got money in my credit card that I can spend $5 on coffee. Here is an opportunity to reflect on your spending habits. If you were to picture your spending as being a leaky faucet, what are some of the spending leaks you could work on plugging? Type some of your answers into the question boxes. Some choices might include, let's see what I get from my, cut down on buying meals out, yes. And I hear Uber Eats is becoming a money pitfall. Eating out less for lunch at work, definitely. Cutting out junk food. Let's see, shopping, buying lunch at work. Cut down on buying meals out. So some suggestions, here are some choices. Mind your cash. People treat cash differently, and that's okay. For some people, it helps to keep less cash on hand so that you're not tempted to spend it. Other people prefer to spend only cash because it's easier to track how much is left. If these people don't have the cash in their wallet, they just don't make the purchase. We talked about cutting down on buying meals out. Finding free or low-cost activities to do with family and friends. Here in Colorado, where we are headquartered, we have a lot of free concerts in the park, which is a great plus. Shopping at thrift stores or having a clothing swap. I actually discovered 4 of my friends actually exchanging clothes because they have the same size. And so it looks like they are buying a new outfit every week, but they're exchanging clothes, which I think was a great idea. Making a shopping list and sticking to it. Let me tell you about the shopping list. Before my husband and I do our weekly shopping, we actually eat before we go to the grocery stores. We discovered that when we don't eat and are shopping for food, we spend 30% more than we needed for that week. Here are some strategies to help you get started saving. Pay yourself first. List savings as a fixed item in your spending plan. You are less likely to spend more money you already have earmarked for savings. Use automatic savings methods. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to a savings account each month. Save all or part of a certain type of income. Designate your tax refund, annual bonus, tip money, birthday money, proceeds from garage sales to the savings account. Establish savings buckets and watch these goals get closer as savings grow. For example, buckets could be things you want, holiday shopping, vacation, retirement. I hear that a thing of the past called the Christmas Club is coming back to a lot of banks. You can decide on putting $20 a month, and at the end of the year, you have money set aside and earmarked for your holiday and gift shopping. Create an emergency fund. Start with a goal of $500, then build it up to the recommended guideline of 3 to 6 months of expenses. Keep it separate from other savings, and use it for only emergencies such as car breakdowns, appliance repairs. Then replenish it after you get back on your feet.
Great. Now that we have taken some time to learn more about earning, spending, and savings plans, let's take a step back and reflect a little more on our goals. Perhaps you'd like to take a vacation next summer, or maybe you hope to go back to school in the next 5 years. Whatever your goals might be, you have a better chance of achieving them if you write them down. And I also think that typing them into the webinar, that counts as writing it down. As you list your goals, divide them into 3 categories: short-term, medium-term, and long-term. We do have the SMART Goals worksheet, which Jeanette mentioned, which is available in your webinar 4 handouts. There's a PDF in your handouts called Webinar 4 Handouts, and it's got all these in there. And we'll also send it to you in the follow-up. But go ahead and list some of those out. So a short-term goal, an example could be buying a new computer or paying off credit card debt. A medium-term goal could be purchasing a car or going back to school. And a long-term goal could be buying a home or retiring when you have enough money to live comfortably. The next section focuses on resources to help you achieve your goals. Remember, it's not only important to have goals, but they need to work for you. So that whole the SMART goals, it has to really make sense for you and work for you in terms of your time frame, the financial situation you have. That's why it's a SMART goal. So here's a question for you. Do your current savings and spending habits limit your goals or help you achieve them? This is a reflective question. Take a moment, think about it. Do your current savings and spending habits limit your goals, or do they help you achieve them? Type your answer into the questions box. I'd like to hear from our audience. I'm seeing a lot of people saying that that your current habits limit your goals. So maybe it's about creating some awareness around that. Now that you're aware of it, you may want to take some time and focus on what your current spending and savings habits are and build some structure to it. And we're going to get into resources next, which will help you do that. So this is a reflection question, helping you to know where you're at. A lot of people are saying that their current savings and spending habits are limiting them in terms of their goals. That's an overwhelming response to this question from this audience. They limit my goals because I have credit cards that I need to pay off. I want to pay a couple of those off by the end of this year. That's great. Short-term goal is ending credit card debt. Great. Limit my goals since I keep having to dip into my savings. That's really good awareness. So really, thinking about how can you develop some strategies and a spending plan potentially so that you don't end up dipping into those savings. All right, that's awesome. Great responses and awesome participation overall.
SAM starts for Smart About Money, but it also stands for the following. 1, size up your situation. 2, analyze your circumstances. And 3, make a plan. SAM is NEFE's consumer-focused website providing American adults with action-oriented e-learning courses on foundational financial concepts. There are 7 in-depth courses, including an awesome course called My Earning Plan. It's about 45 minutes in length if you complete it in one sitting. There are also 5 money basic courses that cover foundational financial concepts, including a course called Spending and Savings Basics. You can go at your own pace and can access them anytime as long as you have an internet connection. The site is also mobile friendly, so you can access it on your cell phone or tablet too. You can register for an account, but you don't need to. The benefits of registering is it allows you to save your budget and bookmark specific web pages that you might want to return. When you size up your situation, SAM prompts you to think about your situation. What is your income? What are you spending your money on? Do you have any spending leaks? Look at and complete the Spending Detective worksheet and budget worksheet that Shiva mentioned. It's available in the handout at the end of the course or under the control panel to the right of the webinar. When you analyze your circumstances, you will need to think about your circumstances to determine your specific needs. Does your current savings and spending limit your goals or help you achieve them? How do you define success? Many of these questions you have already begun to explore on today's webinar. Make a plan. This is where you take action. Set intentional goals to improve your spending and savings. Make a budget and stick to it. Celebrate successes. SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Your savings, your spendings, your future. This PDF file is available also in Spanish. The PDF aims to help you get on track with your financial goals and make a better life for yourself and your family. This booklet provides practical tips hands-on worksheets, and real-life stories from people who have been there themselves. It's divided into 3 sections. 1, your spending, helping you track where your money goes and create a plan for plugging spending leaks. 2, your savings, thinking about short and long-term savings. Short-term is creating an emergency fund, while a long-term savings might be through investments or retirement accounts. And the last section, your future, creating goals and making a solid plan to get there. Another great resource is the Budget Wizard in the Tools drop-down on smartaboutmoney.org. A budget is a spending plan that divides your income to cover your expenses and tracks how closely your actual spending lines up with what you plan to spend. To take control of your money and your financial life, you have to get organized, and the most effective tool for this is a budget. When you create your budget, you organize your use of money into spending categories and then set your financial priorities. Budgets can help you meet your personal financial goals, become better prepared for money emergency, and lay the foundation for longer-term financial planning. Maximizing your money comes down to cash flow, the money flowing into your pockets as income and then flowing out as expenses and debt. Budgets are not meant to be a starvation diet for spending. In fact, if your budget is too restrictive, you're less likely to stick with it. It's best to create a budget that balances your desires to reach your goals with your desires to be satisfied with the ride. The Budget Wizard will walk you through the steps of creating a monthly budget. Please realize you do need to create a SAM account to use the Budget Wizard. So let's wrap up by taking a look at all these resources. Some awesome money management resources for you, which are all sponsored by nonprofit organizations. We will be sure to include all these websites in the follow-up email to go out 24 hours after the end of this session. First, the National Endowment for Financial Education, NEFE.org. The great resource for you has all the different money websites that you'll need to see access. Financial workshop kits. There is a link to sign up for the quarterly free newsletter. It's a way for you to stay in touch and see what workshop kits are available to teach the people that you serve. Smartaboutmoney.org, we mentioned it in the previous slides. Please take a look at that. It helps consumers kind of figure out what their goals are and set some very attainable goals. MyRetirementPaycheck.org, it's a great website for those in their 50s trying to decide, make some choices for how they want to live their lifestyle in their retirement years. The Living Wage Calculator, it's all there, that website that you could click on, take a look at. And another great website is American Savings Education Council. You can visit www.choosetosave.org and figure out the calculators to help you see your savings goal, your savings potential, compound interest, earning from potential investments, and more. And last, America Saves. Visit americasaves.org to get help reaching your savings goals with tools and inspiration. Take a look at all these websites. They're designed to help you make great choices.
All right. So actually, since we have a little bit of extra time, I'd like to see if we have any great success stories. There was something that someone typed in that I wanted to share. So this person said that for the past 2 months, they have been tracking their spending because they work with clients on doing it. And this participant said that, she said, wow, eye-opening. And I really couldn't agree more with you on that. I think when I was a bit skeptical of just the whole idea of tracking my spending because I was just thinking, oh, that's so much work, or I will never be able to really do it or something like that. But once I did it, I learned so much about how I'm spending my money. And I realized that I did have the capacity to save whereas before I didn't really think I did. I thought I was paycheck to paycheck, or you know what I mean? I think we've all been there, or many of us have been there, where we don't feel like we have a lot of extra income. So everything's real tight. But I think when you really start to track, you do learn a lot. And so thank you for sharing that. Does anyone else have any kind of really aha moments around income, spending, or savings, or around any of the topics that we've shared today that they want to bring to the attention of the group? We just have a couple of extra minutes here so we can share out some of your wisdom, which we really appreciate you all sharing with us. Someone asked, do you have any tips or ideas for working with someone who has a physical disability and limits them from the workforce? Yeah, I think that there are a lot of resources out there in terms of, and there are specific nonprofit organizations typically that do this work really intensely within that community. So I think there are resources, and it depends on each community, but looking into the various organizations that really help to empower people and connect them with jobs in terms of people who have physical disabilities.
Can I share one, Sheba?
Yeah.
So Goodwill Industries, they're a national nonprofit organization. If you have one locally in your city or rural area, please take a look at that resource. I can't promise anything because each chapter is different, but here in Denver, it has a great resources for those dealing with disabilities.
Great. We do have a couple success stories. So someone said, I took a course about budgeting at my church, and I've managed to pay off 3 credit cards in the last 6 months. Budgeting works! Exclamation point, smiley face. Thank you so much for that. Another person, didn't realize how much I was spending on lunch. It was averaging $200 to $300 monthly. Wow.
Wow.
So big deal. You know, sometimes we think, oh, you know, going to lunch, it's just, you know, no big deal. But we don't realize $200 to $300 extra a month that you could be putting towards something that you really truly value and that you know would really benefit you. Another person, I cut lots of extras and started saving those small amounts, which helped me to pay off my credit cards. Debt free now. Wow, that's excellent, amazing. I do have a success story with a client. She got lunch every day and spent $10 a day. We used a debt calculator to see how much she could save if she spent some of that lunch money on adding to the principal of her loan. And the numbers were really eye-opening. It helped her to be motivated to pay off debt. Yes, I agree. I feel like once you start doing it, it becomes so motivating. When you start seeing either your savings increasing or your debt reducing, it's very motivating to keep going. So I totally have had that experience also. Good for you. Another person, I need to get with budgeting and sticking to it. Yeah, I bet you're not alone on that. So thank you for sharing that. Another person, I am a coupon shopper. I coupon and my daughter coupons. We love coupon codes for online purchases. That's awesome. It's really, if you know where to get those coupon codes, it's a good thing. And saving money is always important. If we're going to participate, you know, in consumerism, we may as well do it smartly. There's not a whole lot of ways for us to avoid participating in it oftentimes, so let's do it smartly. Another person, I just paid off my car a year ahead of time, and I'm putting those payments into an account to pay for the next one so that I don't have payments.
Ooh, nice.
Very good. I actually did a similar thing with a car where, you know how you pay your car, you know, your car note or whatnot monthly. So what I did was I put some extra money into that account so that I was always sort of one payment ahead in that particular account for my car. So I never had to worry about like, oh, am I going to have enough to pay for my car? There was a little extra buffer for me in that particular savings account that I used to pay off my car. So that's a little tip there. Someone said, I learned to cook so I could save money from eating out.
Definitely.
That's a really great life skill. So I think underappreciated in today's society. Learning to cook, knowing how to cook. Someone said, I bring my own coffee since it's my weakness. Yep. Good for you. Someone said, I do debt stacking and have been able to get rid of 2 credit cards.
Awesome.
Let's take a moment. I don't know if we've adequately touched on this, but I always recommend that you find a way, if you think it might be helpful for you, to connect with a financial coach. this was something that personally helped me, where I worked with a local credit union, and a financial coach or someone like a financial, basically like you could go to a credit union, and a lot of their staff have a little bit of time sometimes to sit down with clients and really review your finances. So if you sort of don't know where to start, I think that could be a really helpful place to start, because as we recommend, it's really important to know what's going on with your own personal finances. Well, this has been fantastic. I really do appreciate everyone's awesome feedback and sharing. Let's go ahead and we'll wrap it up for today. I want to just emphasize you will receive that follow-up email from us tomorrow. And in the follow-up, there will be a link to a recording of the webinar, which you are free to share and circulate throughout your colleagues and friends. You'll also receive all the links to the handouts as well as a certificate of participation for today's webinar. Also, as you exit the webinar today, you will be prompted to fill out a 5-question survey. So again, as you exit, you will be prompted to fill out a 5-question survey. We do appreciate your feedback on that. And lastly, I want to shout out the NCADV National Conference on Domestic Violence, which will be taking place in Rhode Island, September 23rd through the 26th. Please visit ncadv.org/conference to register. And thank you all so much for your awesome participation, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.